All right, we're getting ready to interview Jim Braswell from the Alabama Paleontological Society. Hey, Jim, I see you're there. Can you hear me?
Yep, I was muted. Hey, how you
Oh,
doing?
good. Doing
Good.
um and can there you go. You got your camera going. I love it when a plan comes together. Okay.
Yes.
So
And
great to see you again.
good to see you as well.
Jim is the star of Alabama Fossil Treasures, and it's going to air on APTV, that's the public radio, public TV, that is, here in Alabama. But we have had a lot of fun, Jim, going out to the Union Chapel mine, and we call it the Minkin site. So
Right.
tell people about fossils in Alabama because when I have a conversation with them, they're shocked. There
Yes.
are a lot of fossils here, right?
There are a lot of fossils here. In fact, it's as far as North America goes, we have a hugely diverse amount of fossils. We have just about every geologic period when you had life on Earth represented in the rocks of Alabama on the surface. So, in the northern part of the state, you've got the rocks, Paleozoic they call it, but it's before the dinosaurs. And then from a belt running from about Montgomery west towards Mississippi, we have the Mesozoic or the age of the dinosaurs. And then we have basically every time period since the dinosaurs went extinct, all the way up as you're approaching the Gulf Coast of the state. So yeah, it's absolutely diverse, and most people are not aware of how diverse and what a great fossil representation we have in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. But what is different about Walker County's Minkin site?
So Um, the rocks in the Meakin site they're called the Pennsylvanian age, or it's part of the Carboniferous period, and so that equates to the coal age. And everybody's used to coal. Well, typically in coal mines and many of the ones around Walker County, you find a predominance of plant fossils. The unique thing about the Minkin site there in Walker County is the predominance of the fossils are trackways,
Mhm.
which are trace fossils of the living organisms that were there. Now, there's also plant fossils, but you have an amazing detailed capturing of both insects and early vertebrates. There's things that aren't quite reptiles yet, but there's amphibians and all kinds of marine type animals that are crossing over onto land and back into water, and just an amazing abundance. And that's just unbelievable anywhere around the world. It's an exceptional site by any standard.
What really hit me was that this site depicts life, not death.
Yes.
When you find a dinosaur remains, bones, fossils, it's
Yes.
usually after they've died. But here, you've actually seen some of the remnants that show who is hunting whom and that sort of thing. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So, trace fossils, like you just said, the neat thing is they're capturing a moment in the life of this animal, and we see that in the footprints that they leave, or the probe. They'll probe into the sediment looking for food. We can see that. We can see where they were just sitting and resting. You get all these type things captured in these trace fossils, and literally, when you're holding that rock in your hand, there's so much that has changed from when that fossil was created. For one, the state of Alabama, that area was sitting south of the equator at the time. So the environment was completely different. None of the trees and grasses and things we see today existed at all in any form back then. So even that was different. The animals were completely different. And you're holding in your hand the actual spot on that earth where that creature had walked. And to me, I just think that's amazing. That's you're getting a snapshot into something that animal was doing at that time, as opposed to just finding the remains of the dead animal, which is cool, but it doesn't tell you quite as much about how the animal lived, and like these trackways do.
Yeah, we live by pictures and videos on our phones like
Yes,
every day of our lives. I mean,
correct.
but to find something that was a snapshot in time is very rare, I would imagine, around the world. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, the conditions to preserve that are just, very unusual. You have to have very fine sediment. You have to have very uh, the deposition of the sediment that fills these things in. It can't be violent because these will just get wiped away. So you had to have this gradual deposition of this very fine material that at some point became stone, and preserve these things. So you're looking at a stone picture basically of these footprints, and you just try to think about that. If you think about like if an animal walked by a lake shore today and then you had a heavy rain, those footprints are going to get washed away. They're not going to get preserved. So it's sort of this one in a, I don't know how many million odds that you get a site like this. Yeah.
Well, and describe what you think the Minkin site looked like 315 million years ago or so. Was it a tropical kind of
It would have
paradise?
been very tropical. It would have been very steamy. There would have been sort of uh, I guess there's some back and forth between different experts, but I kind of like the opinion that the Minkin site specifically was probably between at the point that these trackways were being preserved was probably between the tree line and probably a tidal sort of water area. So you had this wide area of just mud and sediment. And occasionally you get fern leaves and stuff like that would wash in and get stuck in the sediment. But basically, it would be like a muddy, shallow area, perfect for having reptiles and insects and stuff running across the mud and leaving footprints, and not having so many plants that they're obscured. Which I think in a lot of places we get tons of plants, but I think this was somewhere in between the tree line and the water, and it was just getting tons of sediment from the ancestral Appalachians that would wash in every now and then, and yeah, it's just if you can almost imagine like the lowlands around South Carolina or someplace like that where you have these extreme muddy areas, especially when the tide's out. Yeah.
So picking your brain here, what event happened that these footprints and all these fossils, remnants, trackways got preserved? Was it heat? Was it what happened where, it was kind of marshy, but why didn't they get wiped away? What happened that it preserved it, do you think?
Yeah, so I am no geologist, but it clearly uh, you had to have the footprints there for enough time to where they were dried out, and then water rich with sediment or dust or something had to fill those in a very low energy kind of environment. So yeah, that's about the best I know. And enough sediment got pushed over these footprints to where you get the impression and the counter impression in a thick enough layer to where the next storm or the next whatever did not wash them away. So,
Yeah.
it had to be, enough sediment got dumped on these things, and at a low energy means enough to where they didn't get wiped away. I mean, that's that's probably more than I can understand, but
Yeah,
it was a certain set of circumstances that just lent themselves to preserving these trackways at the Minkin site. An incredible, exceptional detail too. I mean, we have found footprints that are no more than a couple millimeters long, from little animals and little insects that, if you get the rock just right and the light just right, you can see them. And that's just mind-boggling how small some of these things were that left these incredible footprints.
so you do host people, you host groups,
Sure.
and really the only way people can get out there is if they're in your group or invited by you. How does all that work?
Yeah, so the property is owned by the state, and the APS works with the state, but we have permission to take groups out there. And we have to go through private property, so there are gates and everything. But the landowner has always been terrific and allowed us to get groups out there. But basically, and on behalf of the state, the Alabama Paleontological Society, I mean, we like to look and see what people are finding, make sure that if there's something super rare that we recognize that, and get the people to donate those to the state's museums and things. And we've had a number of kids and everybody else who've had things donated to museums because they're one of a few of a type fossil that have been found out there. So that's generally it. Reach out to the Alabama Paleontological Society, and we can arrange to get a group out there. But yeah, it's not open to the public for a number of reasons. Part of it's because you got to go through private property, and some of it is because we do want to protect the fossils that are out there to some degree. Most of the fossils now, there's been thousands of them found, so people get to keep just about everything. But every now and then, and it's more often than you would think, we get something extremely rare. And most people are happy to have that go in the museum and get credit for finding it. Yeah, so
Well, one of those was the scorpion, right? This it looks
yes.
like a sea scorpion. Tell me about that one.
Yeah, so I mean, the site is just incredible in that in the last couple of years we've had two amazing fossils found. One of them is the terrestrial scorpion that you just mentioned, and there are scorpions out there today, and this looked every bit like the scorpions you see today, about the same size. It just looked like somebody took a rock and smashed it together, and the scorpion was inside. But yeah, one of our members, he split the rock open and found this terrestrial scorpion. It's currently being researched, and I'm sure there will be a paper coming out. It's most likely a new species to science.
Hmm.
So just absolutely incredible. And like I said, it looks like it could just get up and walk off the rock. It's just amazing.
Uh, that is awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and I know the McWane Science Center has some of these fossils. So
they do. They have a huge collection. And I think in the documentary you got to see the Eurypterid trackway again. Father and son a couple of years ago found this in a Volkswagen sized rock just about. There was this massive trackway, and it is now sitting at the McWane Center, and there's scientific research being done on that as well. Again, probably a new ichno species, which ichno species is a new type of fossil, a new type of trace fossil.
yeah.
It's not, we don't know the organism necessarily that made it, or we don't have the remains of that, but we have the impression, and that becomes an ignospecies. So yeah, very exciting. I mean, I think anybody who's knew about the Union Chapel mine maybe 25 years ago, because there was some publicity about the site back when it was trying to be preserved. If they want to know what's going on there, well, it has, exceeded maybe expectations and continues to produce brand new species. So it's just an amazing site all the way around. Yeah.
Yeah. So you hope to continue to research it and find new finds and that sort of
Yes.
thing. So people could get involved and help the Alabama Paleontological Society in what way?
I mean, really, just having people be interested and energized about the site. I mean, we've got some very grandiose ideas that we would like to see happen there. Now we've got to work with the state. We've got to work with a number of different stakeholders. But there are examples of fossil parks in other states, and we would love to see something like that happen. Potentially having a museum nearby or on site, or there's never been any work done. There's a high wall there, and there's never been any systematic work working down that high wall to see exactly what layers are producing fossils. We have an idea, but we've never had the opportunity to do that. That would be something long term that would be of interest scientifically. So there's so much that could be done out there, and we're just certain that there are many, many new species to be found still.
Yeah, we need to get the word out. So share,
We do.
share this.
Yes,
How do they get a hold of you and you are the president of the Alabama Paleontological Society now, but how do
correct.
they reach out for a tour or if they want to partner up?
Yeah, so we have a website. The Alabama Paleontological Society has a website. I was trying to think. I don't even know the
I can
link to
post
it,
it.
but if you
Yeah,
look up Alabama Paleontological Society, you'll see our
it'll come
website,
up.
and we have a way to reach out through the website to contact us.
Uh-huh.
Um, we meet on Monday nights at the Birmingham, the first Monday of each month at the Birmingham Zoo Lodge.
Mhm.
If somebody wants to come in person, that's Mondays at 7 o'clock. But yeah, um, but there's a Facebook page where a lot of our members are on as well.
Yeah.
But and if you can reach out to me or to Prescott Atkinson, and we'll be happy to take your message, take your call. But
And reach out to me too, because
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
even if
we're
you
all linked.
we're all linked and the program that we want everyone to tune into on APTV on November 5th at 8 o'clock is Fossil Treasures of Alabama. Jim Braswell will be one of the stars of the show, showing what
You're
this
so kind.
wonderful site. No, you did a great job, and it was really
Uh,
fun working with you. And you guys and your intellect and how you love teaching kids. I just love it all. So,
yeah.
all right, well, we'll keep talking about it and we're going to get the word out.
Fantastic.
All
Yep.
right.
It's a
Well,
great documentary.
all right. Well, thank you, Jim. You were great. And I will see you soon. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
Bye
good.
bye now.
Bye-bye.